Hello everyone. Recently, I took a well-deserved vacation to South Korea to visit my girlfriend of 4 years, and it was probably one of my best adventures of all time. But before I get started, I wanted to say that I didn't take as many pictures or videos as I should have, but I think the best way to show the trip was to draw, similar to what Swoozy does or The Odd Ones Out. But I'm not that good at drawing at all. But I'm a programmer, man. I'm not good at drawing. I'm not even that good at programming either. You know, I'm gonna try my best. I did rip off Swoozy and Odd Ones Out a little bit, but I think it has my own flair to it. And I hope you enjoy. You're probably wondering, why would I be going to Korea during the coronavirus? And I know you're probably thinking, oh, I bet you're just a Korea boo who just likes Korean entertainment. Oh, Running Man, Blackpink, and doesn't know anything about the culture. You're so gross, dude. No, hold up. I've been practicing and learning Korean approximately 3 to 4 years, and I'm not an expert at it, but I think I would know how to act and communicate a little bit, maybe. I don't know. Talking about being well mannered or acting properly. For those of you who don't know, in Korea, when you're on a train, you should be quiet. Put your phone on silent, put your headphones on and just zone out. It's all about being polite and considerate about those around you. Whereas in New York, where I'm originally from, it's the complete opposite. Everything's loud. The dogs that people bring on sometimes, the rats, the pizza rat, the damn train itself. The trains are so loud. But yeah, everyone's polite in Korea. Well, actually, there was this old guy that I met the moment I got out of quarantine. For those of you who don't know, you have to quarantine for 2 months. 2 weeks, jeez. 2 months. What the hell? Got that new Tesla Cybertruck right there. But before I get a little bit too ahead of myself, I think it's very important to talk about the situation at the airport. Incheon Airport, the South Korean International Airport. So I took off from New York on around the first week of June, and it was like a really long 14-15 hour plane ride. It was insane. And the plane ride was basically empty with about one passenger per row, which is a huge difference. The last time I took an airplane in 2014, it was jam-packed and it was bound for Tokyo. So when I was on the plane, there were some things that I found quite odd. Like I said, I did go to Tokyo and I was awake for the whole flight. On this specific flight, the moment you get on, within 30 minutes, they were serving you food, and it was 11 a.m. I just finished my little brunch. I got my Red Bull in my left hand, and they were serving me this big meal that was economy class because, ain't nobody got time for that. And I wasn't even that hungry, so I took quite a while to eat it. But within 10 minutes of serving the food, they started dimming the lights, and I'm like, oh no, am I gonna have to eat in the darkness? And I think it's one of those weird tactics that airlines have been implementing recently that make you try to fall asleep on the spot.
The plane would have stayed on New York time throughout the flight. which typically makes it hard to adjust to a new time zone when you arrive.
Will be designed either to keep people awake or to induce them to go to sleep. And so we're hoping that they're going to end up getting off the plane and be quite comfortable in Sydney time.
But
Throughout the flight,
it didn't work. You know, I just finished my Red Bull, and it worked on everyone else. Everyone was sleeping within 10 to 15 minutes of them dimming the lights, and I wanted to do some work. You know, I had to program. You know, I had to make my hello world. You know, I wanted to spend my 14 hours making. Ready? Make a new file. Let's call that hello world. One of the hardest projects in the world. That's why it's called hello world. Why don't we just type in main, and then let's see here, system out print line. I think we just do a hello world, and let's run it. Oh dear God, what the fuck? So I tried to push forward. I really did. It was just really hard. They made us close all the windows too, which, by the way, the entire flight we were chasing the sunlight. Basically, if we opened the windows, the sun would be out. We were never in darkness. And my brain kind of knew that. So it was like, bruh, you can't go to sleep. You gotta keep doing this. You gotta keep doing it, bro. Look at all these weak people around you being asleep and stuff. You gotta keep doing it. So I tried really hard, you know, creating my hello worlds and, you know, if this, then that. Within like 30 minutes, I was, but that didn't last for long. For some reason, even though everyone was asleep and there weren't that many people on the plane, they kept wandering back and forth. And one of the times that they wandered back and forth, they were serving us a little sandwich. It was a really weird, dry, small. It wasn't that good. They woke everyone up just to give them that little sandwich, and it was quite disappointing. But afterwards, I tried to get back to work. You know, I had about, I think, 10 hours left on the flight, so I tried to go back to work, and yep, it didn't work. They knocked me out. It was that sandwich was so filled with carbs that I just immediately fell back asleep. But the last thing I remembered is waking up and finding that we only had 2 hours of flight time. But after the flight was over, there was something worse. Got off the plane, going through customs and stuff. So we landed around 4:30 p.m. Korean time, and custom looked like a goddamn war zone. You know, there was no social distancing. Everyone was pushing one another, and like the longest looping line, like it was so long and completely filled with people. One thing that I did notice was that as a Chinese American, I can actually kind of sense other Chinese people around, and I can also look at their passports. But I mean, sensing is a better term. The entire line was filled with Chinese citizens with Chinese passports. I do understand that Korean and Chinese culture is so intertwined. You know, there's a lot of history between those two. But the interesting thing is, every group had a bunch of people that were in their mid 40s or 50s, like pretty old people who were speaking Mandarin, you know, Chinese with each other. But they would all huddle around someone that was in their mid 20s or 30s who was speaking fluent Korean, fluent Chinese, but had a Chinese passport, which I thought was quite interesting, because if they were Korean Chinese, wouldn't the older population speak Korean better, you know, because they're from Korea, whereas the younger generation were born probably in China, so they speak Chinese more. Well, at least that's the case for me. I can't even read Chinese. I can barely speak it as well, so I found that quite interesting. Anyways, back in the line. We were waiting forever. You know, we wait. I talked to this lady in the front of the line, get into a new line, talk to another dude that tells me, you gotta quarantine, bro, when you get to Korea. I'm like, oh yeah, I know. And he's like, it's gonna cost you 2 stacks, bro. And I'm like, yeah, that's fine. If you can't pay it, you're gonna get deported, bro. Yeah, well, okay. I thought that was it. I thought, you know, okay, I'll just take a taxi to the hotel, or, you know, I'll get on their buses, you know, immediately, right after customs. That was a lie. So you get on a new line where they make you sit down and wait for your bus to get on. But I was already pretty freaked out at this time, you know, because I just waited like 3 to 4 hours in a line. I saw something that made me want to leave. A group of people in the middle of the room were all wearing hazmat suits for some reason. And one of them took off their mask, sneezed as hard as he possibly could, and then put it back on. I'm looking at it thinking, oh my god, what if one of those little droplets gets into my eye or through a gap in my mask? And I thought it was over right there. You wait a couple more hours and I get on a bus that takes us to the longest ride out of the airport, out of Seoul, out of the area, and into the damn countryside where there was a random 5-star Ramada hotel looming above like small little homes and like a farm a couple feet away. And this is where I spent my 2 weeks. Which, those 2 weeks weren't as bad as you might think. But we will talk about that and the old man in the next video. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. And thank you for watching.